here with a good friend of mine, Mike Rogers. Used to be my member of Congress here in Milwaukee at the Republican National Convention. He spoke last night on the main stage. He used to be my member of Congress. Now he wants to be my senator, and I fully endorse and support that. Mike Rogers here with me. Mike, it's just a different energy here, isn't it? I mean, I was at the convention in 2016 in Cleveland, and it was energy. Something's happening in America. And it's not because it's been amplified by the assassination attempt, and Donald Trump has this really unique opportunity tomorrow to bring America together like we haven't seen since Ronald Reagan. I don't think he needs even to mention Joe Biden. He needs to focus on the future. But there's something happening in America, isn't there?
There really is. And you can feel it in this hall. In 16, there was energy, but there was also the fractions of the party were rubbing against each other in a way that probably wasn't helpful. That's gone. If you watched last night, I mean, all of the folks who ran against Donald Trump and tried to offer a different version of what the Republican Party is and should be, are on board. And they're not just a little bit on board, they're really on board. Yeah. And they mean it, and it's passionate. And you can feel that in the convention hall when you walk through it. I had the occasion to get up and offer a few remarks. It is electric.
I heard it was terrific, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. And who told you that?
I've heard that on the street. But I'm seeing a conversion. You know, I saw that. I've mentioned this a number of times because it struck me. It was so poignant to me here a few weeks ago. I saw these black moms in Chicago, mad as hell, because they've got all these people that have invaded their neighborhood that don't speak English, don't care to be there. They're taking over the schools. Their kids can't learn in the classroom because they've been packed. The community center that was once theirs has now been turned over to this illegal, so they don't have an after-school program or mentors or sports programs. I mean, the border continues to be, for those folks and the economy, issue number 1 and 2, and they're interchangeable.
Completely. Matter of fact, in Michigan, we just got out of the field pretty recently. The border and immigration is number 1 in Michigan.
Right.
Why? Because of that exact reason. People's resources are being taken away in communities that need a little extra help.
Right.
That's going away, and they're giving it to illegals. You know, room and board, and they're giving them debit cards and phones and health care around the country. $350 billion last year we paid for illegals. And you know what? That's as much money as we could pay every Michigan State trooper and every Michigan teacher for 15 years.
Right, and meanwhile, you've got these gangs from Chile and so forth targeting luxury homes in southeast Michigan because they're sophisticated. They can disable the alarms. They can bust into people's houses, taking $1 million, and then they go spend it in Florida. They don't steal anything in Florida because they'll go to jail there for that, but they go spend it, and then they come back and they do it again. And it's just like this revolving door of criminals, and we know it's true. And then you see terrible stories like Ruby Garcia being murdered in Grand Rapids. I mean, all of these
sexual assaults of minors by illegals in the state of Michigan.
My question is this: how many American women have to die, Mike, before people say no more?
I think you're seeing it. And last night at the convention in that primetime slot, they brought on parents who have lost a loved one to crime and illegal immigration crime. It is so moving. And listen, I used to be in law enforcement, and there's nothing worse than talking to a victim of a crime where somebody in their family has been killed or murdered or raped, it's awful. And you can feel it. It rips your heart out. Those speeches last night, I think, are making waves around the country. And here's why. It doesn't have to be this way.
That's right.
Right? And so we can fix it, and we have solutions to fix it, both on the crime side and the illegal immigration side. So you don't have to lose people. I saw the Washington Post come out and say, well, we think that illegal immigrant crime isn't any higher than... Stop.
Doesn't matter. Shouldn't be here.
Shouldn't be here. That's one person that could have lived, one family member that made it through, one person that wasn't raped and traumatized.
Yeah, well, Lakewood Riley's just one person. I mean, really? That's the argument you go with?
Basically their argument.
It's terrible.
And it's sad, and it's disheartening. And I think Americans, and that's why you're seeing Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans saying, hey, wait a minute. The Republican Party is offering something different.
Right.
Normal. Get my paycheck goes to the end of the month.
What do moms want? To live in a safe community.
And safe and secure.
Have their kids safely.
I want to be able to send my kids to the park.
I want to talk about law enforcement a bit more. I got a couple of minutes here. Alejandro Mayorkas is in charge of the border, and strangely enough, he's also in charge of the Secret Service. How is Kimberly Cheadle still employed today?
Shouldn't be. I mean, this was a bit catastrophic for the Secret Service. So there were some agents that day, and as I say this as a former FBI guy, who performed brilliantly. They did what they're supposed to do. They risked their lives by covering the body of the president. Former president. That's all good. That's exactly what they're trying to do.
Catastrophic failure.
Oh my gosh! The fact that somebody even had the ability to walk up, apparently amongst law enforcement, climb up on the building and get positioned in line of sight and stay there for 30 minutes, catastrophic failure. Somebody needs to be fired. That is unacceptable. And I hate to say it, but there were agents, when you watch the footage, you know, what happens in that is you're supposed to train and train and train and train,
right.
so you don't think about it.
Right.
It's very instinctual. And I know what my mission is. It was very clear to me that many of those agents had not gone through that level of training.
No, they had. You know, and we've all watched this. My producer, Sarah, said, my God, she's too short. He's fully exposed. When we watched that tape, he's fully exposed. Because we were watching it when it actually happened, then over and over. He's fully exposed. I appreciate they have a woman there. But when she's 5'5" and he's 6'3", she's not protecting.
She left about 3/4 of the president exposed.
Well, and they stood him up out there. I mean, we've all seen enough movies. They stood him up out there. It's like, it was just crazy to me. Anyhow.
And by the way, that was one shooter. Nobody knew if there was another shooter in the crowd. I mean, it was really disappointing to me. And watching some of the agents' reactions as they're trying to get him in the car, it was clear they weren't trained to the level where they knew exactly what they were supposed to be doing. I think that Cheadle needs to be replaced, and they need to have an up and down, heart-to-heart with themselves about what the Secret Service is today and what it needs to be.
I think Mayorkas needs to go.
Well,
first as well, yeah. All right, where do they find you?
RogersForSenate.com. Listen, lots of momentum. Love to have you. This is the election. If you've never been engaged, this is the one to do it. We're going to have 30 offices across the state. We need volunteers. Come on in. Love to have you. RogersForSenate.com. We are going to win Michigan. We're going to help Trump win Michigan, and we're going to take our country back again.
Mike Rogers, always appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, sir.